Welcome, bienvenue to Massey College. My name is Nathalie Desrosiers, and I'm the principal of Massey College, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this year's edition of the GOWN, the African Scholars Awards. It's really a delight to be here to celebrate great accomplishments and receive great inspiration from the scholars that are honored today. Let me begin by acknowledging the lands upon which we are gathered here today. This land is the traditional territory of the Yonwanda, the Seneca, and it is the treaty land of the Mississaugas of the Credit. It continues to be the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we owe it a duty of stewardship toward this land, and also we want to acknowledge the great privilege that we have to be here. We're here to celebrate the African Scholars Award. I want to thank Henry Sally and our staff to getting this fabulous celebration organized. And certainly I want to thank President Gertler and Chancellor Patton for honoring us with their presence today, and to all of you who are here to participate. Massey College is very proud to be invited to be in partnership with the University of Toronto Alumni African Alumni Association to host this event. Marks the spring, and doesn't it do it today? So it's a day of celebration, acknowledgement, and I know it's going to be hot in this room is because it has all of warm feelings for people who are going to be evaluated. President Gertler.
Merci, Nathalie. Thank you so much. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. On behalf of the University of Toronto, I really am thrilled to welcome you all to this year's edition of the GOWN African Scholars Awards. I want to offer a warm welcome to our award winners, past and present, as well as, yes, thank you for that, as well as the high school students and the prospective U of T students who have joined us for this great event. I want to extend greetings and gratitude to the many senior leaders from the U of T community who are here today. By my count, we've got something like 2 presidents, 5 vice presidents, 4 principals, and of course a chancellor, and many other luminaries in the room. Big thanks to Massey College and their exceptional principal, Nathalie Desrosiers, for acting as the wonderful venue for this great event. And also my sincere thanks to our affinity partners for their support for this great event. It's so wonderful to know that you are in our corner. So thank you. Big thanks. I want to take this opportunity also, of course, to acknowledge the University of Toronto's African Alumni Association. Established in 2014 as the first of its kind in North America, it had this genius idea of creating the GOWN, African Scholars Awards, as its flagship event. And in a few short years, it has really become one of the flagship events for the university. And I'm particularly proud to note that its founder and executive director, Mr. Henry Sally, is a key member of my staff at the President's Office. So, Henry, really, to Henry and to all of the Alumni Association team, I want to just thank you all for your remarkable leadership and dedication, your commitment, your inspiration. It's so fantastic. Well, it's now my honor and indeed my pleasure to introduce the 34th Chancellor of the University of Toronto, Dr. Rose Patton. In addition to her service to the university as Chancellor, she is an executive in residence and adjunct professor in executive leadership programs at the Rotman School of Management, and of course a member of Massey College. She's also a distinguished former chair of our governing council, currently special advisor to the CEO and senior executives at BMO Financial Group. She is well known for her lengthy career as a senior leader in the Canadian financial services industry. Among her many awards and distinctions, Chancellor Patton holds an Arbor Award and an honorary degree from the University of Toronto, and is an officer of the Order of Canada. And this past January, as some of you may know, the University of Toronto Press published her book, Intentional Leadership, The Big Eight Qualities Setting Leaders Apart. So she is now also a celebrated author. So please join me in welcoming Chancellor Rose Patton.
Thank you, Merrick, and good afternoon to everyone. It's such a delight to be here. It's such an honor to be here and a very great pleasure. And I do want to start by thanking you. I have an appreciation, for aesthetics and color coordination. And I think the fact that you connected the wonderful chairs and inviting atmosphere of this to my robes, it's quite a wonderful thing. But I think we've made the president a little bit jealous.
Expecting blue and silver.
So you can think about that's an idea. But for now, we'll relish this for this evening. So let me just say that it's a wonderful honor for me to be here. It is my first, and this edition of The Gown, I think that's a wonderful name for it as well, I think is very special. The African Scholars Awards ceremony, it has so quickly become an important annual tradition in the University of Toronto, in our calendar. As we see today, it celebrates the amazing range of outstanding leaders among Africans and people of African descent in the entire university community. And that includes faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends all across our 3 campuses. You have made and you are making extraordinary contributions in everything from research, teaching, innovation, to volunteerism, advocacy, and community development. Your impact and your influence are widespread in the Toronto region, in Africa, and indeed around the world. And you are a tremendous source of inspiration as role models, not only for Africans and people of African descent, but for all of us, for everyone here at the University of Toronto. Thank you. As one of the world's leading public universities, the University of Toronto is deeply committed to excellence. And we're distinguished among our global peers by commitment to inclusive excellence. Because excellence in teaching requires inclusion. We recognize that exceptional talent and important new ideas come from any place, any background, or any set of experiences. The more we realize this value, the better we will be able to fulfill our mission as an academic community, to answer the biggest questions, to solve the most difficult problems, and meet the most important challenges of our time. The winners of the African Scholars Awards exemplify boldness, creativity, collaboration that we all need so badly to make the breakthroughs possible. So let me conclude by saying to our honorees, on behalf of the entire University of Toronto, our greatest congratulations, and above all, our greatest gratitude and thank you. Thank you for your generosity of spirit, your impact on our university and our society, and your exemplary, uplifting leadership. Thank you. And now, thank you, and please join me in welcoming our host, Professor Joseph Wong, here to the podium.
Well, thank you so much, Rose. Thank you so much, Merrick, for your inspiring, welcoming remarks. Thank you, Natalie, for hosting this terrific event. My name is Joseph Wong, and I'm a professor here at the University of Toronto. And I also have the privilege of serving as the Vice President International here at the U of T. And as you'll soon learn later on in the program, I also have the privilege of having taught one Henry Sally several years ago. It is just an extraordinary privilege and honor for me to be able to be hosting this just tremendous event today. I had the opportunity last year. It was the first time I had ever been on a red carpet. And I am so honored to have the opportunity this year, the second time I've ever been on a red carpet in my entire life. So thank you very much for that. Just to echo what the Chancellor have already said, this award gala is really a celebration of the extraordinary impact that all of you have had here at the University of Toronto, all of you are having presently, and the impact that all of you are going to have moving forward. Oftentimes when we think about universities such as like the U of T, we think about the extraordinary research that comes out of the university, the extraordinary entrepreneurship and the opportunities that are generated here, many of which actually are in fact generated by people like yourself. And the Africa Impact Challenge has been enormously successful in highlighting some of the extraordinary work that you are doing that is having an impact around the world. Really, the greatest impact that the University of Toronto can have is in you, is in the students that we bring to the U of T who then become our alumni. And our alumnus are around the world in the tens of thousands, having an extraordinary impact on people's everyday lives and having an impact far into the future as well. We are truly privileged here at the University of Toronto to be welcoming more students from the African continent every year. Nigeria, for instance, Kenya now are some of our two key countries from which we are recruiting students all the time, and we look forward to be expanding that throughout the continent. And as Rose and Marek have also noted, it's a reflection of the commitment that we have here to inclusive excellence to be able to report to you that the University of Toronto is also putting literally tens of millions of dollars each year into international scholarship awards to ensure that all students from around the world can have an opportunity to study here, but more importantly, that the University of Toronto and everybody in the U of T community benefit from international students from around the world being here, being in our midst, sharing their experiences, and enriching all of our learning experiences here at U of T. So thank you all for the extraordinary contributions you are making, you have made, and you will make. So, to start sharing with you some of the award winners, and I've had the opportunity to read all of these bios. They are truly humbling. It was actually quite a distressing experience as I was sitting in my office reading these and thinking about all of my own deficiencies. But it also was extremely uplifting knowing that the world is in good hands moving forward. The first award is the Community Development Award. I'm very pleased to honor Machar Bol for this. Machar was born in South Sudan, but he's also lived in a variety of countries on the continent, Uganda, Ethiopia, and prior to coming to Canada, in Kenya. He came to the University of Toronto to Vic College in 2006, spent his 4 years here, and since has just had an extraordinary career in the public service, both at the provincial level as well as at the federal level. In addition to his professional accomplishments and the contributions that he's making to Canadian and global society, Machar is also extremely involved and dedicated to the local Sudanese community, something that, as I'm reading his bio, I know is very dear and near to his heart. He has volunteered with the South Sudanese Community GTA for several years now. He finds himself, for instance, as the chair of the board of directors of many community organizations. And I'd also say, and as someone who has the privilege of welcoming so many international students to the U of T, Machar has also dedicated himself to assisting new international students who are arriving at the U of T, especially those coming through a variety of scholarships, helping them adapt to university life, as well as life in the wider Canadian society. Congratulations, Machar, for this terrific, terrific honor. Please come on up. Please.
I'll do this. I wasn't hoping to be the first. I was hoping to copy from some of my colleagues over here, but I happen to be the first, so I'll take that a shot. Chancellor Patton, President Garrick, and the distinguished guests of the U of T leadership around here, I acknowledge you, and I thank you very much for your leadership in allowing this event to be held here today. Years ago, when I was at U of T here, associations, African Student Association, and a number of other ones like that, but there was no such, big event. So I'm grateful that we're having that event here. I made a mistake of deciding to speak off the cuff, so bear with me. For the African Alumni, the Toronto African Alumni Association, I'm very, very grateful for the recognition that I received today. Many of us, a lot of students graduate, you leave the university, you go out there, and then life catches up with you, and you forget to come back to the university. And you lose connection. In the process, nobody knows what you're doing out there in the university community, and you don't know what is going on in the university community. So for me to be back here after several years because someone at U of T realized that I'm doing something out there, that is such a huge recognition for me, and I appreciate that. I'm very, very glad to be honored together with distinguished people, distinguished U of T alumni who are doing a lot of things out in the community. And in their various ways, they are developing the community. And that is a massive thing. To develop a community is to develop yourself. To develop a community is to also along those who, may not have had the opportunities or may not have known of the opportunities that are available to them. And so I'm grateful to be recognized together with you, those of you who are here. For this award, I'm grateful that I have received it, but I also recognize there are so many people doing so many good things out there. And because, or partly because they are not associated with U of T, I happen to be the lucky one receiving it. So I'm receiving it on behalf of all those people who are doing great things out there. And of course, being an alum of U of T, that is something that makes me more grateful for this particular award. The last thing I'm going to say is that receiving an award like this, for me, is always an encouragement. It's a motivation for me and anybody that receives something like this to do more. And to do more, to me, always means you keep what you are doing as the minimum and to raise the bar. And to raise the bar, for me, also means you bring people along with you. You inspire them. You teach them and encourage them to be where you are, and you develop people so that they can exceed what you are doing. And that is what I intend to do after this award. So thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you so much. Our next award is for the most outstanding recent alumnus. And this award goes to Apifa Ajivan. Apifa graduated from the University of Toronto in 2020 with an honors Bachelor of Arts, studying diaspora and transnational studies, women and gender studies, as well as African studies. And since graduating, should come as no surprise that her work is focusing around issues of equity, concerns about human rights, and importantly, fostering civic engagement, both in Canadian as well as in global contexts. Apifa was one of the Canadian delegates speaking on youth social programs at the UN Commission on Social Development. She also worked with the Canadian Commission for UNESCO as a youth advisor to the World Humanitarian Forum. The Youth of UNESCO fellow also advised on policy options for racialized youth worldwide. Most recently, and this is very close to home, Apifa completed a term as a member of the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Advisory Committee for the City of Toronto. And she is currently co-chair, it's incredible, she graduated like 3 years. This is where I was eating my French fries and drinking my Coca-Cola. And she is currently co-chair of the Girls Action Foundation. This is an organization, a network that provides funds, provides training and programming to over 100 girls programs in communities across Canada. For her leadership and advocacy, as well as the work that she's done in policy, Apifa has been named one of Canada's top 30 under 30. She is a Forbes Fellow, a Resolution Fellow, and one of the top 100 accomplished Black Canadian women, and one of 100 Black women to watch in Canada. Congratulations, Apifa. Oh, she's probably busy having an impact on the world. I could list one of probably 7 different responsibilities she has right now. But what an extraordinary colleague, what an extraordinary friend that we have to the university. It's just amazing and inspiring. The next recipient of the Outstanding Recent Alumnus Award is Jonta Kamara. Jonta is a professional consultant at the UNICEF headquarters, working specifically in the Digital Learning Unit. She completed her Master's of Public Health at KCL, King's College London in 2022, and her honors Bachelor of Arts degree at U of T in Health Studies with a double minor in African Studies and Immunology at New College, graduating in 2020. At King's College, she worked as a research assistant with the King's College Sierra Leone Partnership, and during her undergraduate studies here at U of T, Jonta was involved with the African Studies Course Union, the African Studies Association, African Students Association, and the University of Toronto International Health Program. She is sharing her research around the world already. In 2022, she presented a poster at the Global Health Students and Young Professionals Summit here in Toronto and won for the best poster at that conference. As well as in 2022, she presented at the Health Systems Research Conference in Bogota, Colombia. Her work is on health systems strengthening. I can't imagine a more important time where this kind of work is absolutely critical here in our own city, province, and country, and most certainly around the world. So congratulations, Jonta. I hope you are here.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the University of Toronto African Alumni Association for this award and for also being here today. I graduated in 2020, but I was able to come back last year in December for graduation, so it's nice again to be back on campus, and hopefully I'll be back here a couple times more. I'd also like to thank my family, and so my parents are here in the back for joining today. And I'd also like to thank all the professors and friends and colleagues I've met across these, both here at New College as well as at King's College London. And I also met Margaret, who I met here through LinkedIn and through the Canadian Global Health Young Professional Summit. So it's nice to see familiar faces. And I'm also looking forward to seeing everyone's work and hearing about them and seeing all the work that we're trying to do, especially to change the narrative that we see of the African continent. My work specifically focuses in public health, and also I'm looking forward in seeing everyone else's contributions to ensuring health for all, especially on the continent. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Jonta, and congratulations to your parents as well. This must be extraordinarily proud moment for you, and it must be terrific to see your daughter receiving this honor and to be celebrated by her peers. The third award, the next award that I'd like to honor is for the Social Innovation Award, and this year's recipient is Margaret Mutumba, who was just referred to. Margaret is a passionate public health scholar, and she has extensive experience over the last 10 years working in the maternal child health and as well as sexual and reproductive health focus in sub-Saharan Africa. Has done some terrific work, for instance, on reducing and mitigating the risk associated with maternal health, youth health, as well as the health effects and impact, for instance, of the HIV epidemic. Margaret's educational background includes a BSc Pharmacology from King's College London. King's College is actually a very good friend of ours. So, yes, so, and their vice president in International FUNMI is a dear, dear colleague, and so it's okay that, you know, that you're also a Master's of Public Health from Imperial College, London, just up the street, and is currently at the University of Waterloo. One of the things I think is really important to point out in bio, Margaret, is you describe, or you have been described, as a scholar advocate and a scholar activist, someone who is keen on not only generating scholarly research and scholarly knowledge, but thinking about how to translate that so that it can have a real-world impact. And we're seeing that, obviously, in the research that you're doing, but also is the founder of MedAtlas, which is a telemedicine startup for which its goal is to simplify access to specialist healthcare in Africa. And this initiative has already won awards by Concept by Velocity. And what it looks to do is it looks to leverage technology in order to deliver fast, affordable, special, most importantly, equitable, high-quality care to Africans on the continent. Congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you so much for this award. I'm just going to put it down here. It is an absolute honor to be here. I'm very, very humbled to be honored by the University of Toronto and, more importantly, the University of Toronto African Alumni Association. So thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been an interesting journey for me since I came to Canada in 2018. As has been mentioned earlier, I came to Canada, I was really asking the question, how can we improve access to healthcare? A human right that hopefully all of us should have access to. And what can we do to address these challenges? And so that's the research that brought me here. But the journey has been absolutely extraordinary. And I think for us as African scholars coming from Africa, it really highlighted for me the value of an important supportive environment for us to be able to thrive. Because I was in an innovative context where even if you had an idea, you were encouraged to pursue it, you were encouraged to try it out. It has been worthwhile from my experience, and I'm really absolutely grateful for that. I think what this opportunity does is it highlights the importance of going the extra mile. All of us here as award recipients have our own lives, have our own ambitions, but we have chosen to dedicate our time and our lives and our passions for the betterment of the society. And so I really think that it's a good example to set, and I'm glad that earlier an award recipient also mentioned you need to bring other people along. Sometimes they don't know how to start, they don't know where to start, but this is a good opportunity to bring others along, and I'm really grateful that we get to be recognized in this way. So I want to thank my family. I want to thank Kevin Shanubi, who's here also representing my loved ones for supporting me through this process. I want to congratulate all the award recipients as well.
Congratulations again. It is terrific to see, an emerging network here, right? And an opportunity for so many minded, extraordinary young people to develop a network that's going to have a lasting impact around the world. This is just amazing. In fact, the next award is the Global Impact Award. And it's my pleasure to announce that this year's recipient is Tefuma Musewe. Tefuma is an executive, a trade and investment executive with extensive expertise in connecting African economies, African markets with other regions of the world. He grew up as a Canadian citizen, but his passion led him to be working and pursuing a professional career that's deeply connected to the African continent. As with all creative, super smart, ambitious people, his journey has taken many pivots along the way. He began his journey in community development and moved to entrepreneurship and worked in market intelligence, and now working with multinational clients who are looking to engage and seek reciprocal opportunity on the African continent. Tefuma has a really diverse academic background. He obtained a global executive MBA here at the Rotman School of Management, as well as a Bachelor of Science in Biology, also here at U of T. Tefuma is now here in Toronto with his family, and among the many roles that he's played, most recently he was managing director at a private equity firm, Reagan Mills, where he helped secure, actually, or structure a $100 million fund for investing in growth-oriented companies across the African continent. He also founded AfriFursa, which is an initiative that seeks to shift the narrative. I think that's a very powerful way of thinking about this, to shift the narrative around Africa in the diaspora, which I think this event, also has an amazing contribution to as well. And in fact, hosts the annual AfriFursa FinTech Summit. Tefuma also established Eschaton Solutions, which is a boutique consultancy firm that, again, works with interested parties that are looking to engage and facilitate growth opportunities on the continent. Congratulations, Tefuma, for receiving this year's Global Impact Award.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I'm very honored to be here and to receive this award. And I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts. So, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a widely held African philosophy. And this philosophy says that I am because you are. So, you know, when I think about myself and my journey, thank you for trying to bring it all together. There's a lot of many different moving pieces, but you did a fantastic job. It's really my parents, it's my grandparents, especially my paternal grandmother, who's now late, Gogo Musewe, my mentors, my instructors, as well as my ancestors, who grounded me in my passion for the continent, for Africa. And then it's also it's my family, it's my wife is here, my children, who've grounded me in purpose, in a sense of purpose. And it's my unwavering commitment to the belief that Africans must sit and will sit equitably at the global table that gives me a future and gives us a future. So I'm truly honored, I'm really honored, I'm humbled to receive this award. Thank you very much. Professor Wong and Chancellor and as well Principal and the many wonderful distinguished guests who are here. Really honored to receive this. And my hope is that the work that we're doing will create a platform for those who come after us to take it much further than we could on our own. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tefuma. And here, actually, listening to you speak, about how we aim collectively to have more African voices at the table. Here's my challenge to you, and I was actually just talking to my colleague Dixon Ayo about this earlier on. My challenge to you and colleagues around this room, as we contemplate taking a seat at the table, I think it's also a tremendous opportunity for people like yourself who are leaders of communities to think about very deliberately what is the value add that you're going to bring to that table and ways in which you can transform that table in addition to having a seat at that table. It's something I think about a lot, and I encourage my colleagues in this room to think about that as well. I think it's Tafuma has provided for us a really excellent entree into contemplating that. I do believe that's the next step. Well, the next award is for the Emerging Academic Award, and this goes to someone who I actually taught, I think. And I say I think because it was all done virtually, but I do know her, I do recognize her because she was one of the few students who always kept the camera on. And so when we finally saw each other today for the first time in person, it was really, truly a thrill. The Emerging Academic Award this year goes to Dimpo Elenbe. Now, Dimpo is a PhD candidate in engineering education at the University of Toronto. And you might wonder how a political scientist like myself would ever be involved in the education of an engineering doctoral student. Dimpo actually brings, and I know this because I've seen this, brings her engineering know-how and her engineering point of view to really enliven discussions, right? To really bring and shed light on different ways in which we can think about prevailing global challenges. She is an engineer through and through. She has a Bachelor of Applied Science in Industrial Engineering here. She has a Master of Science degree specializing in Operations Management from the University of Bath in the UK. But it's the combination of all of those academic perspectives and disciplines that she brings, animated by her own lived experiences, that really has the kind of impact that we're looking for in coming up with solutions, right, to global challenges. She comes with an engineering mind, seen it in terms of wanting to solve problems, but has an openness to hearing what others on the team has to say and learning from them. Indeed, she refers to as well the philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because you are, and it's very clear that she lives that through her own work. So congratulations, Dimpo, on winning this award.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow, it is quite an honor to be here today. I was really not expecting to be even nominated for this award, and I was really honored when I got the email that I had been selected for the award. I had prepared some notes, actually, and what I found so interesting was hearing all of the other recipients and themes in their thank you speeches that also were in my own writing. And I think that that's very reflective of, again, Ubuntu, of African philosophy, and our understanding of the importance of community. So I do want to share just a couple of words. My father turns 65 next week, and it's also a few weeks after his mother passed away at age 92. And this time of mourning and celebration have given me the opportunity to learn more about both my grandmother and my father's lives and legacies, their trials and struggles striving for safety, security, stability, and a life of equality, dignity, and respect in the face of an oppressive and racist apartheid South Africa. This legacy impressed upon me the immense toll that oppressive systems can have on individuals, as well as the immense strength and resilience that exists within individuals and the collective. My grandmother was able to persist because they weren't alone in their pursuits of justice. And this PhD journey has at times felt isolating, and that isolation can have you questioning yourself and your path. However, I was reminded recently of James Baldwin's motivating words: "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed if it is not faced." I'm also very fortunate to have a community of support surrounding me, from my PhD supervisor and longtime friend, Dr. Cindy Rotman, who's here today, who encouraged me to consider pursuing doctoral studies, and my longtime friend and PhD inspiration, Mikal Burke, also here today. I would like to thank many others cheering me on, friends that I can't list here today, who support me through my tears and celebrations. And today I am very grateful to have an even bigger community supporting this work that I'm doing in engineering education around engineering culture and how it can be more inclusive, as I hope it will continue to build a path for more to follow their dreams and their pursuits for a noble and just world filled with hope and love. And let us all remember the philosophy of Ubuntu: I am because you are. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Thank you.
The award is to honor the most distinguished volunteer. And it's with great pleasure that I share with you that this year's recipient is Oluwatabu Idon. So Toby Oluwatabu, is he here? Terrific, great. Oluwatabu is Nigerian-born, and he has both a bachelor's degree as well as a master's of engineering and chemical engineering, both earned here at the University of Toronto. And he has a passion for sustainable energy, and combining these concerns around sustainable energy and an entrepreneurial spirit, as well as developing entrepreneurial solutions. While he was a student at the University of Toronto, he was president of the Nigerian Students Association. He was also a resident assistant at New College, and he was also chair of the 2017 Undergraduate Engineering Research Day. As a professional, since graduating, he facilitated the development of INVEST, which is an extraordinary program, I believe, applied science and engineering, which is the International Virtual Engineering Student Teams Initiative, and really leveraging the virtual technologies that we have now to bring teams of young entrepreneurs, innovators from around the world to empower them, to work with them, to develop effective solutions to prevailing global challenges. In 2022, he was a Canada Africa Innovation Fellow with Engineers Without Borders Canada, and he also co-developed an enterprise to address Uganda's clean energy challenges, bringing together, again, a keen insight into human nature, entrepreneurialism, as well as the technical engineering knowledge that he brings. Toby, or Oluwatobi, now works as a consultant at Deloitte in its risk advisory practice. Congratulations, Oluwatobi.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, University of Toronto, U of T African Alumni Association. It's truly an honor to be here with you to celebrate the achievements that we have accomplished as African scholars and the experiences that we've brought to be here. And I am truly privileged to have had a dream 10 years ago to come to U of T. I'd never been in Toronto. At the time, I was in the Netherlands, and I was looking at pictures from the acceptance letter into chemical engineering. And it was based on those pictures, I felt that this was the place to be, to carry that dream, to learn the building blocks that was needed to be able to build my country, Nigeria, and also Africa as a whole to make them self-sufficient in energy and through engineering. And so I came here, very few family, very friends, and to stand here 10 years later and to see the faces that we have here, the friends, family that I've built, communities that I've built, is truly a humbling experience to stand here before you. And I truly thank the U of T for these experiences. And I just want to say that with this award, it should serve as an encouragement that if you have dreams, go for it. If you have dreams to build communities, if you have dreams to change the landscape of where you're from or where you're going, go ahead and pursue it, because it's going to be recognized in some way or form, whether it's through your family, your friends, your community. And I truly thank my family, my friends. My brother is following in my footsteps. He's in chemical engineering, second year. And yeah, it's wonderful to see that my work, the example that I'm sharing, is something that people want to walk in. And I just want to say, leave you with a few words. Dare to dream, dare to believe, and be the best you can be in everything you do, and everything will work out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As I listen to all of the recipients, one of the things that's most striking to me is that you all had the opportunity to be here. We've had the privilege of having you here at the University of Toronto as a student. Yet in all of your speeches, you talk about this extraordinary commitment to back home or to the continent, or as some have referred to it, the places from where you. And I think that's really quite extraordinary. All of you are embarking on just remarkable careers here, there, and everywhere, and yet there is still a real rootedness and a real deep sense of obligation to home, and in this case, the African continent. Indeed, the University of Toronto has embarked on a very ambitious project in establishing a health collaborative network with 8 African universities in 5 countries. And one of the key principles to that partnership, and it was very much driven by the advice that we got from colleagues from the continent, and importantly as well from students and alumnus such as yourself, core principle of that collaborative network, and what the U of T is mobilizing all of its weight and resources and brain power and networks and so forth, is to create a collaborative, a health collaborative, to fulfill the Alma Ata Declaration of Health for All. And I know there are some public health people here. It's shameful that it's been almost 50 years. But to mobilize all those resources for Africa, by Africans, and importantly, in Africa as well. And this is something we heard loud and clear from many of you in this room, certainly many students as well as colleagues. And it's a principle that we have really taken to heart as we establish these partnerships. So thank you, and thank you for reaffirming something that we have long believed here at U of T. So again, just really inspiring hearing from all of you. The next award is the Distinguished African Caribbean Award, and this goes to Kita Deming, Dr. Kita Deming. Kita and I had the pleasure of chatting earlier on before Scott here, and he was wondering, should I, he's about to publish a book, and he's wondering, do I put PhD in my title or not? And I said, I guess as a professor, I thought, well, that's the most ridiculous question. Of course you put PhD. You earned it. But, this is a person who is truly selfless in his work, right? This is a person who is not thinking about one's own accolades. Kita is an award-winning educator, an award-winning coach who is working with people to transform their organizations, companies, their places, their spaces, to becoming more people-centered, to be driven by ideas, but to ensure that they are centered around the needs of people. And he and his team at the Covenant Group have, in fact, built an online coaching platform called Coach on the Go. And this functions as a virtual coach for entrepreneurs as well as young business builders. And at the core of this work is this belief that building any training or workshop starts with the people. And this is a theme a lot this afternoon. He truly believes, as he writes here, that we have to accept that we must learn from others, and only then does our own journey become a little bit easier, and I would suspect become infinitely richer. Extraordinary accomplishment. One of the proudest achievements for him is the key that he helped grow around the TEDx Port of Spain event, which is a local version of the TEDx Festival, and has become one of the most successful TEDx events in the world. So this is someone who is truly having an effect, and through his infectious work is having an impact around the world. So congratulations, Dr. Deming.
Thank you, everybody. I was really surprised. Oh, I just deleted my notes. Great. Awesome. That's awesome. Right. So I guess I'm going to be winging this. No, I was really surprised to be nominated for this award, mostly because I'm from the Caribbean. But more serious note. I'm sitting there listening to everybody talk, and I'm sort of pinching myself because thinking about me sitting in this room is like kind of a miracle for many reasons. Number one, I'm a high school dropout. Number two, I'm dyslexic. And I'm thinking about my mom when she came to see me graduate here. And she said, Keita, I was just happy you got a degree. You now have a PhD. So I'm beyond amazed at anything you've accomplished. And I'm here with my son, who's making a lot of noise in the back. I apologize, but how are you doing, buddy? But more seriously, there's a quote by a guy called Snoop Dogg, who's amazing. And he says, he was accepting an award, and he said, most of all, I'd like to thank me. And it's amazing. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think for all these recipients, not have acknowledged the work that they've put in for the work that they're doing. So I think we should give a round of applause to the recipients who've been focused on other people. And this theme has been touched on before, but I think it's so important that somebody with my background who sitting here to me is such an unlikely spot to be in, that when you find the environment in which you can thrive, and then there are people who are helping create environments where a lot of people can thrive, I think that's a core thing I love about Canada in general. I moved to Vancouver, and I call that my final years, my formative years, because I became a completely different person going to UBC, getting my first ever academic award when I did my master's, and since then getting others. But it's just such a long journey, and I think that focus on designing the environment or finding that environment that you can thrive in is one that I'd like to echo for all of us and anybody who's up and coming. And then the final piece is just because one of the downfalls of coming so late is other people have said things you wanted to say. And one of the things that I've always thought about is if you think about, I believe in the narrower the focus, the bigger the opportunity. And one of the struggles I've always had is facing the imposter syndrome, and men, people of color, we struggle with this. And one of the breakthroughs I had was recognizing that I don't need to be excellent in everything. I don't need to be excellent in all that I do. I need to choose the few things that I want to be excellent in. And we talk about black excellence in particular in some circles, and I think sometimes that can be over debilitating. I think it's really important for us to be very intentional about where am I going to be excellent, and where is it okay for me to be mediocre? And all jokes aside, but I'm hobbling here because I was playing soccer and dislocated my knee. Because I'm trying to be excellent at soccer, and I'm not 17 anymore. I think we all need to really zone into that black excellence and narrow your focus, because when you narrow your focus, the bigger the opportunity. As somebody from Trinidad, one of the mottos of our country is, together we aspire, together we achieve. And I really believe that that's what we're trying to do here at the University of Toronto. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Don't forget this. That's what I'm here. The next recipient of this award is someone that is, it's truly a pleasure for me to be able to announce this. The next recipient is a dear friend to many of us, and a shining and guiding light, and that is Jody Glean Mitchell. I could go on, definitely go on without notes, and I could go on for a long time, but I won't. I'll stick to some of the key points here. Jody Glean Mitchell is an award-winning anti-racism educator as well as an EDI practitioner, someone that I think most people in this room who have been in any leadership role has called on for her wisdom, her grace, her expertise, obviously, and her very optimistic outlook as we grapple with very real challenges. She is currently completing her PhD in education at York University, and she is focusing on the experiences of equity practitioners in the community around which she has built. She joined the University of Toronto as the director of ARCTO, or the Anti-Racism and Cultural Diversity Office, in 2019. Many of us, including myself, had an opportunity to work directly with Jody on many issues, whether it be in terms of our own research or at an institutional level. One of the things that I think is really important, Jody, is the work that you did in developing the Reflect, Restore, and Action program, because it not only helps us identify many of the challenges that so many, unfortunately, continue to face, it's focused actually on the restorative practices, the empowering and restorative practices to communities that have experienced this racial trauma. And so it is forward-looking. It's constructive. Right? It's to build, and I think it's almost optimistic. In 2020, she received the Harry Jerome Diversity Award. She's won many awards as well before that. She is an extraordinary colleague. She is a leader here at the university, and it's with great pleasure and honor to invite her to receive this award. Jody.
Joe, thank you so much for those beautiful words. Let me begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to U of T's African Alumni Association for this most humbling recognition. You know, as I prepared remarks for today and I was in reflection, my mind kept going to the more difficult encounters and challenges that I've had since I came to Canada. You know, my mind kept going, particularly within post-secondary institutions. I thought about the times when racial slurs were being tossed at me. I thought about the times when I was encountering someone who actually even tried to engage and spit on me as I was making my way to class. My mind kept going to the difficult times, and I had to pause myself and question why. In the midst of this joy and celebration and recognition, why is that the moments that are surging within me as I'm trying to write remarks? And I realized, you know, as EDI and anti-racism practitioners, we are so constantly trying to communicate the urgency of this work. There's an urgency. There is a life and death situation to the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves of the bodies that grace this campus. And so it's, even in the midst of celebration, it can be so difficult to center joy. But then I look at this room and I read the bios of the recipients of this award, of the important work that you are engaged in. And that brings me back to joy. I look at my daughter, who's in the back of this room, Madison Mitchell, and she brings me joy and motivation. It is essential to know that the work of EDI and anti-racism work does not boil down to individual practitioners. It boils down to community. It boils down to collective grace. It boils down to leadership, that will. Sometimes all we need is will and some resources, and we'll run with it to create the spaces that allow for these moments to happen so that the children, our children, the next generation can enjoy the fruits of our labor. You know, I was born in a small island called Trinidad. I was raised in an even smaller island called Grenada. I come from a lineage of educators, Teacher Norma, Teacher Carla. My parents, Carla and Lavita Glean, are all educators as well. I am surrounded by mentors. I'm protected by my ancestors. I am lifted by family, by my husband, by my 2 daughters. I'm now a mother of 2, y'all. I'm a mother of 2. And so in all things that I do, this award is for them. More importantly, this award is for you. The work that we've been able to do amongst the equity team is because of you. And so if ever you doubt the importance of your work, recipients, if ever you doubt the importance of the EDI and anti-racism work happening within this institution, please just toss your eyes to the little ones that are here, because it is literally for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jody. Our next award, and we have 2, one in absentia, which I'll describe in a moment. The next award is the Distinguished Influencer Award. And one of the recipients this year is Temisen Boyo Fenu. Temisen Boyo Fenu is a lawyer. She is a consultant who specializes in labor, migration, and human rights. In her consulting practice, she is called upon regularly to advise various United Nations agencies as well as international NGOs on matters relating to labor migration, child labor, forced child labor, and human trafficking, with a focus specifically on the African continent. She has also worked with several government ministries to put her ideas and her commitments into practice, working with government ministries in several countries to design donor-funded projects that will help achieve these African countries, the African Union Agenda for 2063, as well as the 2030 Agenda, or the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals Agenda. Temisen is a dual citizen of Nigeria and Canada. She received her bachelor's degree in international relations and peace and conflict studies from the University of Toronto, as well as her law degree from the University of Oxford. Launching her current practice, Temisen served as a member of the Refugee Protection Division of the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, where her expertise again was deployed to adjudicate refugee claims from asylum seekers arriving in Canada from around the world. She has also practiced labor, employment, and human rights law at Blake and Castle, as well as the City of Toronto's legal division. And so importantly, she serves as the director of the United Nations Liaison for Lawyers' Rights Watch Canada. And this is an important NGO that promotes human rights and the rule of law, both here as well as internationally. Temisen, congratulations on this award.
Chancellor Patton, President Gertler, Principal de Rosier, colleagues, distinguished guests, thank you. I am deeply honored to receive this award and to join this incredible and inspiring group of African scholars. Like many of my fellow recipients, I'm a first-generation immigrant to Canada, and when I started as an undergraduate student at the University of Toronto, I knew that I wanted to do work that would help to develop Africa, that would be in service of Africans. But I didn't know how. I had a very narrow view of the options available to me. I didn't know that I could support refugees from Africa and help them make a home in Canada. I didn't think that I could work with the UN to help African governments meet the Sustainable Development Goals. And it never occurred to me that I could start my own business. I feel very lucky that I get to do the work that I do, and so it's a privilege to teach, to share this knowledge, to mentor others with dreams and aspirations, and to learn from them as well. I'm grateful to God and to my supportive family, especially my parents, Edward and Buki Boyo, and my husband, Juste Fanou, who's here with me today. I also owe a lot to the African professors who supported me during my time as an undergraduate, who mentored me and who encouraged me, especially Dr. Thomas Tieku and Miriam Lowe from the African Studies Department. So thank you again to U of T and to the African Alumni Association, and congratulations to all of my fellow scholars. Thank you.
Thanks so much. The last recipient for the Distinguished Influencer Award is unable to be with us today. His name is Professor Wendell Ni Liria Ejiti. He is unable to be with us because he is the William Dawson Chair, as well as Assistant Professor of Post-Reconstruction U.S. and African Diasporic History at McGill University. So congratulations to Wendell. Wendell, by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, earned the first 2 of his 5 degrees here at the University of Toronto. He holds an honors BA from St. Mike's here at U of T, as well as his master's from the University of Toronto. He then went on to earn another MA, an MPhil, and as well as his PhD from Yale. Wendell was, prior to joining McGill in 2019, the King Fellow and Lecturer at Harvard University. He is a social entrepreneur, and he is a humanitarian, and he has dedicated decades of his life to effecting positive change in communities around the world, but also importantly here in Canada. In 2014, in terms of his global work, he co-founded the Tujunge Africa Foundation, which is an award-winning peace-building and humanitarian skills development organization in Burundi. He has also served the youth within our own community here in Metropolitan Toronto, specifically important work in gang prevention, as well as interventions into community violence here in Toronto. He is the director or advisor on multiple boards that are involved in the education space, as well as youth advocacy as it relates to innovation and entrepreneurship. He is truly a scholar, an advocate, an activist, and an entrepreneur. So congratulations to Wendell. Now, as I note, Wendell is unable to join us, but he has asked that the award be received on his behalf by a gentleman I met earlier, Mr. Arthur Downs, Dr. Arthur Downs, honorary doctorate from a U.S. university. Dr. Downs is described by Wendell as his mentor. Dr. Downs is someone who Wendell met because he was interested in the black experience in Canada during the 1930s. So I'm going to say that again. So Wendell wanted to meet someone who could enlighten him about the black experience in Canada during the 1930s. And he had the privilege and honor of meeting Dr. Arthur Downs, who was born, as he reports to me, in 1927, So I quickly did the math, unable to do it. I know that this is someone who we are extremely privileged to hear from now. I'm very pleased to invite him to the podium to accept this award on behalf of Arthur Downs.
Thank you. I know that the important people have been acknowledged, and I'm going to say something special eventually about the Chancellor with respect to color and race. You'll be surprised. But in any event, most of the time, I think about what my narrative was growing up in Toronto. And I was frequently, almost always asked two things very quickly, and that set it off. Where are you from? And where do you live? And they could establish so much by those two questions. They never thought I belonged. And I'm so happy to be here today to listen to the fact that people of color, academically people of color, are making a true contribution and letting the rest of the community know that we're from everywhere and we live everywhere and we're making a contribution. Now, I might say this. One of the benefactors of mentorship is certainly the good professor at McGill, because he was picked up very early in life and moved away from the very subject of gang culture because he was potentially able to be picked up by them, but his mentors took him along an academic path, and the rest is history. I want you to all promise me that if you don't leave academia, that you'll always try to encourage some young little child who weighs about 90 pounds and doesn't look like he's going to go anywhere, and make him or her realize that there is a way. Please. I know I'm supposed to talk about what you're doing, and I'm trying to, as it would have helped me immeasurably around then. Now, you understand that when I was asked about 1930, I segued quickly to 1940. I felt more comfortable at that stage. Now, what I'm going to say about your Chancellor is, I've always admired Chancellor's robes ever since my dear friend Lincoln Alexander got his. But your robes are far, far finer. I thank you one and all. This morning when I was talking to the professor, while he was talking to me, he was singing a little song to his son who is attending school. And that's equally important. We are all happy about the job we do, and we are what we do, but there are children coming up that are looking forward, and they think we're even more important than we do. So I thank you one and all. And I know it's a Now I know why you wouldn't let me hold it.
I don't know the good professor personally, but I suspect, Dr. Downs, that he would be very gracious in saying the award is the both of yours. And the award is indeed for everyone. It is now my privilege and pleasure to start to bring these proceedings to a close, but I wanted to invite a very important person, Henry Sally, to offer some closing remarks. Henry, as I noted before, Henry is a former student of mine, and you're not going to believe what class he took with me. I would ask him, but he's busy right now. So he was in my seminar on Taiwanese politics, fourth-year seminar on Taiwanese politics, and I have to say that Henry and his perspective and his intellectual wisdom and rigor really enlivened that seminar. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that in 2010, as just an undergraduate student, he spearheaded a fundraising campaign that mobilized thousands of the Haiti earthquake, and he was recognized by the Canadian Red Cross, to which it was donated. He's an extraordinary alumnus. You've already heard about how he founded the African Alumni Association in 2014, which of course has put on this terrific event year after year. Henry is also an indispensable part of President Gertler's staff, someone who greets us all. Make sure we're well prepared before we meet with the president. Extraordinarily kind, and somehow managing to also be completing his PhD from OISE on the side. So welcome, Henry, and thank you on behalf of everyone.
Well, thank you, Professor Joe Wong. I call him Professor Joe Wong, but that's because he's also my friend, but he's actually Professor Joseph Wong. So thank you so much, Professor Wong, for an excellent presentation. Hello, everyone. On the African Alumni Association, I would like to thank all of you for joining us here today, and especially for being enthusiastic to stay close to each other amidst all the limitations. I would also like to extend special gratitude to the following people without whom that would have been just a mere dream. The African Alumni Association team, with whom I work to manage the association on a day-to-day basis and whose dedicated time is invaluable. Catherine Bate, who is there helping with the awards. She will be graduating as a distinction student in June this year. Rachel Samuels, she's unable to be with us here today, but she's a valuable member of the association, and she leads the Refugee Awareness Week project. Victor Bukenya is also in Vancouver right now, but he's also a valuable member of the association. Rashad, who is there with us. And Ismail Chividige, who is also a member and a former recipient of the awards. Like the president said earlier, your time and dedication to the association is very much appreciated. I also want to thank Professor Joseph Wong for always coming in and helping out whenever called upon. Thank you so much. From the time you were my professor in my fourth-year course, when you introduced me to Taiwan and all those conversations. It's been a growing relationship, and I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for hosting this for the second year in a row. I would like to thank Dr. Rose Patton for having accepted kindly to join us here today and for presiding over this event. Thank you so much for your patience and for sitting here in all this light throughout all that time. So we do appreciate you, we love you, and you so much. Thank you so much for coming. I want to thank our distinguished partner and mentor, Principal Natalie De Rosiers for the Massey, of the Massey College, and her entire team for everything that you hear. Every nitty-gritty that you see here cannot be done without them. We have been on numerous calls. If I want to count hours, they can be, we can't, like, there's no value to that. So I want to thank Emily Mokla, Joe Costa, Sarah Baum, Alisa Bag, Matt Gladfield, and Catherine Fowler for always interacting with us very graciously and helping us navigate the different dynamics to put on such an event. The African Alumni Association would not be a reality without Miss Barbara Dick, the Assistant Vice President, Alumni Relations, who was fundamental, a fundamental pillar in establishing the African Alumni Association in 2014, together with her team and her continued advice throughout the process. She's been invaluable. I want to especially thank you for believing in us. It would be unfair to not thank my boss, Dr. Mary Gatlau, who is always in the business of thanking everyone else and doesn't get thanked a lot. I want to thank him for his mentorship and continued support throughout my time with him. I wouldn't be able to do all this without his support. And when I say my boss, he has become my parent, he has become my friend, and mentor. And I think I am a witness to all the people here, especially my colleagues at the President's office, who are some of them sitting in this room. I want to thank them a lot. Bryn McPherson is there, Nadina Jamison is there, and everyone else is here as well. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, supporting me throughout this process. I want to thank Kerry Anna Moffat, who has been attending each and every gown celebration ever since we started. So there's so many people to thank, but I think I'm going to stop there. So likewise, I want to take this opportunity to thank each and everyone who sent in the nominations and the letters of support for your time and for everything that you do to make these, to choose these amazing recipients. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate all the recipients for everything that you do and to encourage you to continue doing more, because this is just and I want to wrap up because there has been a lot of talking already. But before I wrap up, I want to invite all the recipients to come and take a group picture with the Chancellor and the senior administration. At the same point, I want to invite each and every one of you to join us in the reception room, in the junior common room, to have some drinks and eats. I've been almost an hour seated here in the hotness. So please join us in the reception. But as you go to join us in the reception, please, the recipients, come here for a group photo with the Chancellor as well as the senior administrators at U of T. So thank you so much, and see you next year.